Okay. All right, we are going live. Let me just get everybody in as usual. Disable waiting room. Hey, everybody, we see some very familiar faces here. Lisa Skelly's here. I see Deborah Hughes, Brian Martinez.
Hi, Lisa.
Yeah, and Karen.
Hi, friends.
Frank Lombardo's here, and many other people join in. So we're so happy you guys are here today. I'm Keith, and hi from La Papa. Yes, we love La Papa, the best. So I just want to set expectation today, and we'll go through this real quick in the beginning. We're here to brainstorm solutions to help everybody become that amazing human artist I believe you are, and you guys are just amazing. So we're running this more like a brainstorm session, not a debate opinion expression session, right? So we are trying to figure out, AI is really everywhere. And when I seek out for mentors for Sentient, I look for people like these four right here: Brendan Gonzales, Ray Bonilla, Kai Lun Qu, Tiffanie Mang. These people, they are running ahead of the curve. They are looking into the future. They are learning the best ways to improve their own process and also teach other artists to adopt to new technology and become more competitive. And that's why they're here today, four of them, open resource. And of course, we want to make this an open discussion. Once we get into it, feel free to join the discussion and really just share, focus on this thing, share what you have discovered, what you're using right now to improve your workflow, to make you more competitive as a human creator. That way, we'll never need to worry about AI. So that is the expectation. And I'm gonna open the Pandora's box to allow anyone to share screen. So please do not, just be nice. And let me share my screen real quick. If I can find it. Hold on one sec. I have too many screens. By the way, why don't you four say hi real quick as I figure this thing out real quick.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah,
I'm curious if the attendees are mostly fine artists or digital artists. I know I see like Deborah and Lisa and I'm actually curious about that.
Yeah, why don't you guys leave in the chat, let us know, what kind of art you do and where you're from, and they will help us. Oh, someone is digital from Brazil. That's really cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna take like really 5 minutes, take the time. After 5 minutes, let me know, I'll shut up. So when it comes, I've been researching a lot about AI and all that stuff because I'm geeky like that. And I found something very interesting and shocking. So we'll play that game 20 questions, right? Like this little gadget here. This thing will ask you 20 questions. You answer yes or no. And then it's gonna guess what you're thinking. And little did you know, the person who invented this game in 1988, think about it, 1988, back in the days, this is one of the very first attempt to test artificial intelligence. So AI is not a new thing, number one. So I just want you guys to kind of think about that. AI is not a person. AI is human designing some stuff to have the computer do stuff for us. And number two thing, the reason why I really just feel like AI is everywhere, not just everywhere, but everywhere in our advantage as creative, is because even the one biggest tool we use, Adobe Creative Suite, you guys can read this. I'll put this in the chat later. They have been leveraging artificial intelligence to make their software a lot more intuitive. So us as humans can be more efficient. And that's my approach when it comes to stuff like this, is they're here to help us. And we as human, we have full control of what can happen. And to really make AI not scary, this is really, when it comes to artificial intelligence, a lot of people think data, there's a thing called AI, and it adds value, but it's really a complicated process where we collect data and then we synthesize a lot of hypotheses, and then there's a group of data engineers, and we do a lot of modeling there. We call it data scientist or whatever it is, but it's really, you're just cleaning up, finding a pattern. It's all about finding the pattern. And then where it adds value is where we can find real life applications, either through, like Instagram algorithm or Adobe figuring out how you make this lasso tool select the good perimeter around your hair to make it better for you to do a filter tool, whatever. So, and so on and so on. That's where it creates value. And nowadays we see a lot of people have problems with AI because of the ethical side of that. That is actually the constraints. And this is the good news. That is the constraints of artificial intelligence. There's legal side of constraint, ethical, transparency, historical biases, and security. Cybersecurity is a big issue. Those actually fall into the constraints of AI. If we play it right, we can control this thing and not let it go wild. So with that said, I'm going to open up the floor for you guys to actually share thoughts. I'm going to mute myself, but have an open discussion. What do you guys use? If you want to share screen, if you want to share ideas, open questions, like what do you guys use? How about this? How about that? Let's make this hour as productive as possible. So thanks everybody for that nerdy 5 minutes, but icebreaker, feel free to talk. This is an open discussion. So let's go.
Who wants to go first on that?
Well, I think I think one of those things that think about AI is that it's, or at least how it pertains to art, is that it's been around for a while, but now it's evolved to a point where it's starting to make things that are extremely impressive, and things that would have taken like a well-trained artist years to do can be done, on the surface level, kind of, really quickly, like in a matter of seconds, and iterations can be placed upon, done on that same image multiple times. At least for me, I think the excitement behind it, though, is the ability to have essentially like the next level of like a reference board. I think a lot of us here use Pure Ref and build reference boards with want to do like a piece of art, that might not, exist per hand. And so I have that a lot of times because outside of gallery painting, I do illustration work. And so I like to have, just tons of reference. And even when I'm doing a gallery painting, I'll do that too, like where I'll have tons of reference of artists that I know of all over the place. And I think the cool thing about AI is that it allows you to kind of dream up or different combinations of things. Oh, wow. See, there we go. It allows me to kind of dream up different levels of, I don't know, ideas. There's a great AI art account by a person by the name of R. Stevens Art, and I just wanted to gonna share my screen. I don't know how to do that. I don't know if am I actually able to do that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I open it.
Yeah.
You go down below. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yep. And so, can everybody see that? So the cool thing about this is that this person's putting together all these almost like these sort of reference boards of just AI generated imagery. And the way I look at it, it's not like the way I see it is, it's not. I think it's like, oh, that's really cool. That's a great springboard for an idea that I could have. I could see how I could generate stuff like that, and not so much more like, oh, look at the rendering. I think it really sort of leans heavy on the idea of like being able to think up ideas, and being able to just have sort of all these sorts of like incredible combinations. Like, I think this was like just like the lost like a lost magazine of weightlifting in Japan in the 80s, or it's combining. You could totally see like there's a lot of weirdness to it, but I could see like, it really makes me start to think about like, who are these characters, how can I develop this further with my own art and use it as a basis of inspiration, the same way I would do my own reference board, which I would look at for my paintings. I would a lot of times I look at things like if I'm working on trees, or I'm working on a landscape or a cityscape or a still life, I will pick artists that are the best examples of those elements that I'm trying to paint to help me express myself, help me with the design and things like that. And I think leveraging AI kind of in the same way is something I see as a really exciting avenue, at least for me to learn more about what it is that I like to do. So I don't know, what do you folks think about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I think you guys can go.
Okay. Yeah, no, just to kind of build up on what Ray was saying, I mean, at least for me, when I first started seeing like these AI images, this is like before the whole thing where people were kind of like, having a lot of opinions about it. I think I remember I first saw just a few of people that I know, there's one artist that I know called Tiffanie, you might know her, Shelly Wan. I was like seeing her Instagram, and she was like posting a lot of like, well, she started posting like some AI generated imagery. And when I first saw that, I was like, first of all, I was like, oh, wow, that's like a really nice painting. And then I realized, oh, it's actually AI, but then she went in and painted on top of it, right? I feel like just from looking at all these AI imageries, we're still a long ways away from AI just taking over the human hand, right? I feel like AI is still imperfect in a way, but it's imperfect in an artificial way, right? So we can definitely utilize it as inspiration. And I think like, I definitely think it will create new, I guess, bridges and new ways for us to kind of, utilize visual imagery within our own work. And I mean, coming as a fine artist, to me, I feel like this is a little bit almost like history repeating itself in a way, because this kind of same, I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions about it, but these same opinions were also formed from the discovery or the invention of photography, right? A lot of painters back in the days, especially those who were painting, portraits for a living, right? When photography came by, they were like, oh, well, photography is going to steal my job, or photography is going to take over what I do. But I feel like some of my favorite painters like Zorn and Sargent, they utilized photography and used it in a way to enhance their studio works, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but I will always prefer looking at a Sargent painting compared to a photograph of like something like Sargent used for his paintings, right? I really feel like the imperfection of the human hand will always triumph over the artificial imperfections, just because we can relate to it a lot more. And I think that's where we can utilize AI imagery, so then it can really just help it. It's like I said, going back to what Raymond was saying, I think we could learn to like utilize it in our own workflow, and that's something I'm excited about. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. What do you guys think? Brandon, you were about to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna just bounce off what Raven was saying about just generating reference, whether it's for a concept, for like digital stuff, for a game or movie or something, or for fine art. I think it could be definitely great to use as like gathering that reference. We go to Google, we search images for reference of trees, landscapes, different lighting scenarios, textures, whatever, just trying to find certain things that can help with either our concepts or our digital or our fine art paintings, so this is the way I think that we can kind of control that reference and have it be, something different, not any one specific imagery. It could be a bunch of stuff. We can generate a whole like mood board, like what Raven was saying, that could be inspiring and kind of used as kind of fuel and to help guide us in our direction, a beginning place, and that could be infinite. I think that where AI is going, it's not going anywhere, and I see the possibilities really going to be like really incredible. So I'm kind of looking at things from two different perspectives, the fine art perspective, as well as like the entertainment design, right, concept and map painting. So, but just from a fine artist, I think that tapping in AI and using that as like generate references or guidance for you is a good thing. And I liked your analogy with the camera obscura and things that are going around the Industrial Revolution. And just think of like the artists and what happened at the time and what kind of art was produced because of that. I think a lot of people really like gravitate to and love Impressionism. And that was right around that same time. There's a lot of things that were changing, and then that affected composition. There was, because of the cameras, people would come into the frame and it would change things that people wouldn't have thought of, think of, or do before. And so it definitely changed a lot of dynamics of the way things were done. I feel that like AI is the same kind of thing. Like it's a tool I think that we can embrace and use to help maybe skip some steps or get us there a little quicker for certain things. But ultimately it has its limitations, and it will continue to progress and get better and with time. But I agree that I think there's it's just because it's so randomly generated, it's be hard to kind of control it. And eventually you're gonna have to take that human hand and have that touch to be able to modify it and really craft something based on some type of narrative versus just being random. There needs to be much more controlled, controlling the lighting and the mood variations and kind of things like that. I think there's still a lot of opportunity and things where we have to touch it and use it still. Okay, Tiffanie, it's your turn.
I think you guys all brought up great points. I have so many like thoughts. I don't write down anything, but I have it all in my head. But I think what you guys all said about it being a great reference, I definitely agree. Like if, like you guys use PureRef and gathering images on the internet. I think the 2 points that I wanted to riff off of that was like, first, I think your perspective on this really fast moving technologies is really important. I think a lot of times, especially right now, like when I'm talking to people, because I actually have a couple stories that I'll share that are kind of funny, I don't know. But like a lot of times people tend to be really scared of this. And I think kind of approaching it with this curiosity, I think is really important. So instead of just like turning your face away or being like, oh, like this is not for me, or like this won't affect me, or because it will, and to everyone in some extent, not just art, like in every sector. I think approaching with curiosity and your responsibility to be informed, which I need to read a lot about it too, but I think it's every person's responsibility to inform themselves and not just, see like no AI images on Instagram that I know are going on, and just, have that fear and then, not do the research yourself. I think that's important. And then I think the second thing is that, the ability to use AI as reference, I think also stands on the artist's skill level and their ability, like Brandon said, to be able to have that skill as a solid artist, be able to take AI as reference, but still know how to manipulate it and change it to what you need. And that will ultimately will stand out, artists who just use AI and generate cool images versus artists who use AI as reference to build and paint on top, or just use it as reference, whatever it may be, to create the story that they need. And I think that's why even in the advent of AI, does that make sense? And right now in AI, in this stage where, this craziness is going on with AI, it's like, I think some artists were getting really scared and they're like, oh my gosh, like, is it even is there even, a point for me to like learn any skills? I like, AI does everything now. And like Brandon said, it's like, I've seen some images in AI. Yeah, it may look cool, but there's still flaws in composition. Like there's still things that can't detect like foreground stuff. And there's still a lot of flaws, and I don't know how fast it's going to take to refine all of that. But I think that actually means that artists should take this time even more now to build up their skills as artists so that they can leverage AI and not be, like succumb to it or whatever. Because if you have those solid fundamental skills as an artist that obviously we are all teaching in our mentorships, you can manipulate AI to what you need. And I work at Marvel Studios right now, and I have a coworker who he's worked in AI for like 8 years now. And so I was talking to him a lot about it, and he said to someone who hasn't really played around with it or heard of it, he completely understands how scary it can be. But he said that, I think somebody said that, he's like, I think if people take the time to actually play around with it with an open mind, obviously, knowing the pros and cons of it, they might come to actually see that it can be a tool that they can use, and that it might not come off as scary as they initially thought. So he is actually someone who I think uses AI beautifully in his workflow, because sometimes, as you guys know, working in the industry, it's not about it's not about creating pretty painting after pretty painting and like taking the time. It's about how fast you can deliver something. And so whether you use AI as really quick reference, like right now, I like to go on Shot Deck, and I like to find all my references like from film stills and stuff. I personally have not used AI to use references, but I'm like Raymond said, I'm sure, like you can definitely use it. I actually have a student of mine who he uses this app called Animate. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but he showed me, and I think if you pay $24 for like a one-time fee, you can type in any prompt and it generates like tons of images for you. So he sent me a bunch of them, and some of them are pretty cool. I was like, okay, that's pretty scary. It is scary, but it's also like, okay, but he uses them actually as prompts to help him sort of think of an idea for his next painting. So it's like, oh, let's see what happens if I type in like fisherman, and then it gives him, some image of some, different kinds of images, and then he'll use it to get ideas of composition. But, obviously with his integrity, he won't ever just use that and be like, oh, this is my art. I did talk to another production designer, Christophe Lorette. Maybe I shouldn't have said his name, but he was playing around with AI as well. And at first we were talking, and he said, this might, replace, some certain jobs in the animation industry. I personally think that although maybe that might happen if, it becomes cheaper to generate images, like I still think that collaboration, because I come in, like Brandon, I'm in animation and fine art. I still think that it will never replace that collaboration that you get in a team. Like I personally, I don't know about you guys, but I would not want to stare in front of a screen and just type in prompts and be like, this prompt, and hopefully it gets me the concept image. Like you still need that artist hand to be able to change that image up and, make it fit whatever you need for your film or your film. I said that twice, your film or a short story, whatever it may be. So I don't think it will replace that human touch that is so unique to each and every one of us. I don't see that coming. I don't know what you guys think about that, but yeah, I think those are my two main points, like to, take the time to be informed, and also that, now is more, to solidify your skills and, make sure that, you will continue to grow as an artist. It's not an excuse, or it's not like a reason to stand down or give up. It's even more reason to, harness the time now or whatever. Yeah.
I want to add to Tiffanie and actually give everybody something to think about. Okay. I started out with that 20 question for a reason. Think about how long ago that was, 1988. And today we're looking at AI in this, capacity. And then now I want you to think about, when were you born? Doesn't matter how old you are. Kai is much younger than us, but within this 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, which is much shorter than from 1988 to now, you all managed to create something amazing that a person will feel something from your creation. AI is cool that you can type in something, a prompt, but AI does not feel. AI is not going to know when you type in this prompt, the viewer is going to feel this, then I tweet this or that. AI has no feelings. And because of that, we are always going to win. It's not about cost at all. Someone mentioned big company, do they value collaboration? You should rephrase that question to be this way. Do big companies value how their viewers will feel about their brand and their production? Yes, they do. Speed is important, but then if you can get something really fast, but nobody feel like they want to see it, there's no value in that. And I also want to take a moment to celebrate. I know it's really sad to see all this anti-AI thing, but we forgot a team, Dylan Cole, Jonathan Bach, a lot of great artists worked so hard for years for that Avatar movie to come out. You guys should go see it. It's amazing. Entire movie is generated by computers, but there are tons of artists behind every single thing in that computer generated movie. And because these are human, we connect to the images they produce. And that's how important it is for us to understand the tools. And like all you four said, to actually learn to drive that. And then like earlier, I talked about the constraint for AI. If you have ethical issues with AI, you as a human, ethical issues, it's in your control. You control what you do with it. If you don't like it to be unethical, don't use AI to do unethical things. Just like internet is double-sided sword. You can use internet for really bad things, or you can use internet for really good things. It's up to you. But anyways, I want everybody to just, Savannah has questions, but if you have anything, just unmute yourself, join in the conversation. We don't want this to be just listening to people talk. We want this to be more interactive. Let's just keep it going. I like the tone we have right now. It's really positive. And by the way, if you've seen the new Avatar movie, please let us know because it's amazing. So thanks.
Hey guys, so it looks like we have a few questions in the chat. I'm just going to field some of these. Deborah Hughes is with us, so excited to have you guys here. She asks, can you list ways that we can utilize AI through apps, etc.?
Well, one way is actually just signing up for something like Midjourney if you wanted to. I could drop the link in the chat and just use it's all through Discord, and they have a way of just a tutorial on how to go about using it, and just mess around with it for yourself. I know I haven't downloaded any of them, but I have seen some iPhone or just phone apps that use Stable Diffusion. I don't know if any of you know the name of those apps. I've seen them, but I just can't remember the name. Sorry about that.
The app that uses Stable Diffusion, you said?
Yeah, like an AI art. I mean, because like the AI apps on the phone that use the models like from either like Midjourney or Stable Diffusion. They're called something else, but they
Lensa? Is that,
I think so.
sorry,
I think that's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, the one that my friend used, I think it was called Animate, and I was trying to pull it up, but actually, I'm not sure if that's the correct one, but that's one where I think if you pay $24 or something like that, like some flat fee, and you can use it, and each time, if you type in the same prompt, it gives you different images, around 24 or something. So yeah, Midjourney, DALL-E are popular ones. But don't you have to go on like a waiting list, or you can do a trial and then?
You could, at least with Midjourney, I know you could do 25 free prompts, and then they charge you. Then afterwards, you have to sign up for some sort of subscription account. I mean, you could always just keep making new Discord usernames, I guess, and just
Okay.
but yeah. So just to mess around with it, I think I would encourage people to just see what it's like, because it's you. I mean, people see like these incredible examples, but like, you know, I've talked to friends that have used it, and you know, they say like to arrive at a certain thing took like thousands of iterations, you know. And I mean, both Tiffany, you and Brandon work in, you know, film industry, and so like, you know, how important like notes are and revisions are, and like being able to apply those specific notes to things, and how everything's like an evolutionary thing. So like, you know, one thing I was going to say is like, I think certain times people think that like, oh, my job's gone. It's more like knowing the ins and outs of that, you know, the responsibilities. I mean, like as a, I know as an illustrator, it's like let's say you produce an image and you go to a director, they're going to be like, great, here are these notes, go take it to final. You're not going to be able to do that because it's, you know, the prompt's going to shoot out something different every single time. Like, it's not like the practicality. Sure, it's going to get better, but it's, I think at the end of the day, it's like not about you're as good as you are, not because you can make, you know, render light and shadow, or render, you know, paint a mountain, or, you know, paint a head, you know, it's more your voice is what's important. That's what people gravitate towards your work. Because really, I mean, like, just think about like what we do, just at least for me, I use oil paint. That was out of fashion a long time ago. It was developed in the 7th century, so it's hardly anything but cutting edge, right? I mean, there are easier ways of making imagery, right? They're a lot more effective and way more healthier for you. So, and my subject matter is, you know, still life, cityscapes, landscapes, occasional portraits. There's nothing groundbreaking about that. It's been done before, right? So what sets me apart? What sets certain artists apart from everyone else that's doing it? And it's, you know, you have to remember that like the skills is just the beginning. That's what you need to know, right, in order to be a visual communicator, an effective visual communicator. But then it's just taking that and then building your vision. And that's the way I see it, is that you utilizing AI to enhance and help you build your vision, I think is super important. So I think I like to separate the discrepancy between that, because I don't think skill was never really like it's a prerequisite in order to do something at a high level. It's not like it's a means to an end, not an end in itself. So yeah.
I want to add one thing real quick. A really good real life use case scenario for you fine artists, a lot of you out there, especially during COVID, right? Like, when you, in the past couple of years, there's no way you can really go paint from a live model, but does that mean you just quit doing art? Or you can get an AI generated real, I mean, fake person in front of you with different lighting scenario. You continue to practice from a near life model generated by AI, and then just have this person sit there, and they won't even ask you to take a pee break or lunch break. They'll just sit there all day and not move. And you can continue to sharpen your craft. And I know Kai has done a lot of that too. Maybe Kai can share a bit of resource. And of course, I know there's a lot more questions. Just find new ways to add the questions. Don't be shy. And Frank is there painting. And I would love to put in the prompt and see his painting kicked out. But I enjoy seeing him, you know, mixing the colors and making it real art, right?
Yeah. So the website I used was thispersondoesn'texist.com or something like that. And that was actually my first kind of playthrough with AI. Like that time, it was just because I had to do a demonstration, and I ran out of like reference photos, right? And I didn't have enough time to actually find reference photos, you know, and the limited amounts of references like on Google is like can really only go so far. And, you know, so I utilized that website, but also to give you guys an idea, it took me a good amount of time. I think it took me almost like an hour or two just to find a half decent AI generated portrait, because most of the time like something is a little off, right? So it took me like around 1 to 2 hours just to find like a decent looking reference that I could use. And even then, some of my students were like, why does this look a little creepy? Like, I was just like, oh, it's not real. And like, I'm like, well, it's good enough for practice and stuff, right? But yeah, like I sometimes will utilize that. I haven't used License in a long time just because it took so long to really find decent references, even by just doing something simple as just generating a face, as compared to like generating entire complex compositions and stuff. And I think this kind of goes back to like what Raymond and what Raymond, Tiffany, and Brandon, like what you guys have all been saying, right? Like we can definitely like learn to just like utilize it in a way, but I definitely don't think AI is at a point, or it won't be at a point where we can only solely rely on it. And I think just based on us as artists, I think there will always be a place for us, and now I think, this is what I tell my students too. I'm like, now more than ever, we just gotta keep practicing. We just gotta keep training. And if we can utilize AI in a way that helps us with our training, I think that's one of the good things to do. But yeah, that's kind of like my bout with AI.
Yeah, I also think that like what Tiffany was saying, that I think that AI will replace some of the jobs, but I think it'll also create other jobs too. So as like it'll shift. And I think that it'll just require us as artists to keep perfecting our craft and keep going. I've messed around with AI and it can be really frustrating, and it can take some time to really get something that's actually usable or good. And so there's still like a little bit of a learning curve with that, and the tools will continue to get better and better and more efficient. But yeah, I think that we should keep going and develop your voice, what you want to kind of communicate to the world. I think that voice that's going to stand out, and that's what's going to make you marketable, what people are going to want. And I think that yeah, I can only go so far, so I'm not really worried about it taking over my job.
We're
Yeah, I
gonna,
actually have a couple. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Oh no, I just wanted to share a couple of like funny stories. Dang it, one just went out of my head. But I actually, my coworker was talking about, who has played with AI for a while. He says that it took him like about 8 years to perfect what to type and get the images that he wants. Like, it's not instantaneous. So if that's of any comfort to anyone. And the funny thing was, we were talking on Slack, and he was like, I thought you might want to see this. He had typed in like a painting by Tiffanie Mang, and he showed me the image that came up. And the composition was like, nah, it wasn't that great, but the colors were kind of cool. And I was like, this is really interesting. And so, but he's like, and I was like, great. It's like, can people just like take my style now? And I was kind of freaking out. My initial reaction, he's like, this took me about 8 years to perfect. Like, if I would not have been able to get this, and I know how to sort of manipulate the system, but don't worry, like you are safe. Like, no one's going to be able to replicate your style completely. So that was a interesting personal experience for me. And then the other kind of funny one was, my boyfriend actually, he commissioned this guy he saw on Instagram to do a portrait of us. And on the Instagram, I won't say who it is, but it was like a bunch of portraits of people with like splatter paint on top. And it looked like it was painted, maybe like really cool digital brushes or oil paints or something. Like, it looked like it had a painterly look. And so he wanted a portrait of us in that style. But I think because the picture he gave him, it wasn't like a straight on portrait, like it was us hiking in the forest. He gave us something completely different that wasn't in that style at all. And I thought it was really interesting. And so my boyfriend was like, why, how is this anything on the wall, how is this anything like the images that you have on your wall? And so then he gave him something else, and it was like this black and white sketch. Maybe I'll see if I can share it later. And so I showed my friend from Marvel, and he said that everything was generated by AI except for some like frontal leaves falling. And so I thought that was a really interesting, I don't know, experience of how like, and he charged for it too. So I'm just curious what you guys thought about that as well. Those are like my two kind of interesting experiences, I guess. Sorry if that was kind of random.
If we can, I was actually hoping we could field a few more questions real quick. Is that
Yeah,
is that
go
all
ahead.
right? Cool. So we've got Lisa Skelly. It looks like you've unmuted. Did you have something you wanted to ask here?
I think, Tiffany, thank you for sharing that because I have so many questions, but the direction that I'm coming from is, as a gallery owner and as a fine artist, is that there's always tools that you can use to become a better artist, which I'm fully in favor of, as long as it is transparent about how you got there or how you created your art. Because I have to, as I represent artists in the gallery, I know exactly, how hard they worked and that it's all original. And there's never going to be anything to take the place of original artwork, in my opinion, and the feeling that you get from looking at an original piece of art. And so I don't know necessarily that I have a question, just open to hearing more ideas about, like Keith said about being, you can use the AI to be unethical or to be ethical, which I really appreciate. And I really appreciate actually being invited to be part of this brainstorming today. But you never, like, as long as I trust the people where the artists, that paintings I'm looking at, that they're fully transparent on how they created what they created, then if it's beautiful, it's beautiful, so as long as people are being honest about how they created it, I suppose is what I'm thinking. And so that's more of a statement than a question, but just open up for more discussion about, the traditional ways of art. And there's always going to be new methods and new ways of creating art. But I just think being transparent about how you created it. And so that's my little comment about where I'm coming from as representing other artists in fine art. And there's nothing like looking at a really beautiful painting that was created from hand. And the people that come to us for our workshops, and the same for you, that there's something in their soul that they need to feed by creating their own artwork, and us helping them learn how to do that. I don't think there's ever going to be a replacement for that either. So
Exactly. And Lisa, I'm so
I
glad
completely agree.
and I love that perspective from the gallery owner. And like you said, and I'm glad you picked that up. The constraint of AI thing, it's really ethical, and transparency is one of them, right? Like the way I see it is today, if we all done this, like we all get on internet and say Google Sargent, and then a lot of people do master copy. Google has the royalty for those open images that we have, like the old masters paintings and all that. We'll Google Richard Smith's painting and we'll study brush strokes, study stuff. We all have done that kind of studying to perfect our skills. But the moment we say, I'm going to paint exactly like, say, Richard Smith and rip off his painting and put my name on it to sell it, you cross that line, AI or not, you cross that line.
right.
And that is all a human decision, not an AI decision. AI just do what you ask him to do. It's all about human. So I am glad you bring it up. We just need to have our own ethical radar or compass to say, when I study someone's work, yes, AI can help it so it's faster. Instead of me sitting in front of a computer, Google 1,000 images, it may shrink that Googling process down, but by the end of the day, I am the one who choose where it goes from this point on to finish that creative journey. And from there on, you just need to make sure, you source it ethically, right? So glad you're here and then show that perspective from the gallery owner. And again, we are all here trying to be a better artist, and there's a lot more applications. So I see someone's asking about more like use like real application to help us with process or whatever. I don't know, Frank, your work is really amazing when you have like different figures overlapping and all that stuff. Did you create that fully without computer? It's all from your head, or is there some tools like Photoshop or something from a creative process? Did you leverage anything to help with your ideation?
Oh yeah, I wish I could do that from my head. That would feel amazing. But no, I used a lot of Photoshop. But I like to say that I basically use Photoshop like someone using a Lamborghini to get milk at the supermarket. You know, like there's so much you can do with Photoshop, and I just use the kind of bare essentials, but you can do so much with a little bit of knowledge. But I am when I discovered AI one night, my fiance and I were playing around with it, and I just kind of was like, I don't want to say I've fallen in love, but I'm definitely enchanted and scared and thrilled all at the same time. I want to add one thing that's really helped me. If anybody's just kind of jumping into the AI stuff, Google prompts that you can type in, like look at, try to get ideas of, oh, what happens if I type this in? I did that, and I learned that it's not always very intuitive. For example, one prompt is to type the kind of camera lens in that you want to help sort of shape the image. So, you know, if I say this sort of Sigma 50mm f-stop, I list the f-stop and everything, it gives me a portrait that has this blurred background and is hyper realistic, that I couldn't get by just saying everything else. I needed to like include the camera lens. So yeah, that's all I got for right now.
That's super helpful. Yeah, because that's part of the frustration that I've had with like typing in prompts. Like it's not as intuitive. I've used to like Google where when I need to find specific images, you try to get the keywords that will get the result that you're looking for, but that's not the same way that AI is working or interpreting those what you're saying, right? But a couple of things. First, kind of, hi Lisa, it's good to hear from you. It's been a while, but I think that people that are trying to copy other artists, like try to be another Richard Schmid. I love Richard Schmid, but you can see like if they're going to try to copy it, like it's still original artwork, but it's only going to be as good. Like, oh, you're just another Richard Schmid, right? Like he's already kind of claimed his mark, his style, and his look. You're trying to copy that. You're only going to go so far. I recommend reading a book, Still Like an Artist. It's an easy read, but it's like just kind of the idea of like still like from so many different artists, and then it kind of becomes you, and you kind of develop your own voice by going from different sources, a lot of different sources. So I guess what they're going to solve.
Can you send the link in the
the
chat?
book?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send that link. But I like this question. It's in the chats about using AI as like your painting. So I like to do, when I'm doing like an oil painting or something and I'm struggling, I'll take a picture of it and I'll take it into like Procreate or Photoshop and do some quick things to figure out, solve some problems, maybe compositional issues, or if I feel something needs to happen, I can easily do that and save time and a lot of pain and sweat and tears and everything like that, and figure out what needs to happen and have that work. I can definitely see that AI could jump in here at that point, taking an image of your work, putting in there, and maybe randomly generating some variations to what's already happening there to kind of help prompt or give some ideas of moving forward to executing the finishing the painting. I still think that's going to be limitations with that because of changing the composition, or I don't think that some of the images that I've seen, there's bad compositions based on the imagery that's being produced through AI. So it definitely has limitations, but it could definitely help, I think, generate ideas or solutions to maybe something that you're working with or focusing on, or struggling, that can help to take it to finish it. I definitely think that AI is going to be a big part of it's already integrated into Photoshop. I think it's going to become even more so to help with the textures and things like that, and 3D. I think that 3D is going to be a part of, eventually 3D is going to be affected by AI, and I think that that's going to help be a huge game changer in visual effects for creating textures and stuff for simple UV textures and things for objects and stuff that's being built and replicated. So I think there's some great possibilities for it. And I think that I love like the thing that Frank was talking about, those learning the prompts. that's learning the tool and knowing how to use the tool for you. And I'm still on that. I'm still learning how to get that stuff. That's a great help and advice to kind of figuring out how to use AI to get the results that you're wanting, right? Again, that could be used to steal other artwork or do something that's kind of wrong, but you could also still use that to stay on the good side and try to be able to get the imagery that's helpful and inspiring to you and your project that you're working on, helping you forward. So I think there's a lot of cool possibilities, and I think it's just a matter of time before that happens. And there'll be, even like with the limitations that it has, as far as like, we have like our director is telling us, giving us a big, huge list of notes of what needs to happen or change. And, AI won't be able to address those notes. So that's where we definitely come in. But I think it'll come to a point where you can start to generate scenes and 3D and the atmosphere and perspective. And then you can start to move all around and change lighting and stuff with all this stuff. We're not there yet, but I think that who knows how long it'll take. But even after that point, it's still like, it'll be messy and it'll always need to have us to come cleaning up. So we definitely need to just work on our craft
and I think Brendan, I love what you just mentioned, that very last part of a 3D model. You can change and light it, morning, dawn, midnight, nocturne scene and all that. That is huge, even though it's not perfect right now. But think about this. How many of you stopped traveling for the past 3 years because of COVID? That means you cannot take a commission. You cannot say, if someone commissioned you a piece to do some research in a different country, say like Australia or whatever, and you cannot travel there, your commission is on pause or even die. But if you're able to hop on and say, create an Australia scene for me in the computer, 3D, you can turn it around, play with different lighting, you can be a lot more efficient and start doing research for your project and still win that commission. Because this person, the reason they come to you for the commission, instead of they can hop on and have an AI generated and call it good and don't pay for that, because they care about you as a person to generate an image. And leveraging this technology will be able to help you to continue your creative process without traveling, spending their airplane money and all that. It decreases you individually as an artist, as an entrepreneur, decrease your cost so you can get more project done. And I think that's a big advantage we are seeing here. And also I want to bring it up. We all think, AI stealing images, stealing your style and all that, but don't forget, anything feed into computer, it's fed into it with 0 and 1 patterns. It does not perceive imagery as human perceive it. Our eyes see the image, we have all the emotions and stuff, we see it as a tangible picture, but for computers, it only sees 0 and 1s. And for that, like, computers are not taking you, like, they are not looking at it as an image. And because of that, it does not feel anything. That's why when you search, you need to be specific to say, like Sony lens, whatever footstep, because they're running a search to say, they translate that search string to a 0, 1 again to see what kind of pattern it match and come out. And as we all know, when you ask Google or Alexa, they are as stupid as it gets. It will tell you the things that you don't want to know, and it takes you 50 tries to get them to even understand what you're saying. And all I'm saying is, right now I can ask Frank, Tiffanie, Brendan, and I even see Thomas here, Lisa, Brian Mark Taylor's here. All these artists, as human, you ask them something, they're able to respond to you right now, even pick out the brushes and show you how it's done. AI will never be able to do that. And I also want to make sure we understand the reason why we're here together today is because as a community, we help each other out. So if you want to scroll through, take notes, reach out to each other, get together on social media to continue this conversation, please do. That's exactly why we host this session today, is to show you the most valuable asset as a human is the network, it's your friends, it's all these people around you that spend time to perfect their craft, they've experienced to share with you. So of course, January, I'm excited. Kai's mentorship is coming up for Alla Prima painting. Ray is focusing on, gallery painting. Tiffanie and Brendan, they got some secret formula coming up here to help you to be more successful. And I want you guys to remember these artists, these mentors here, even Frank here, Thomas, Deborah Hughes, all these people here, they are willing to share knowledge, tap into their knowledge base, and don't let this thing weigh you down. Talk to real people about their advice, and they can help you to become a better artist, secure better jobs, become more efficient, become more productive, and you're gonna win any day. So we probably have another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. So if you have any outstanding questions, please feel free to say so right now.
I just wanted to add really quickly, somebody had asked about entering an image in. I didn't find it in Midjourney. It was definitely like you asked for a prompt and sent it out. But I have seen artists be able to input their own paintings using Dream by Wombo, I think it's called. I haven't used it, but I saw an artist actually. Do you guys know John Foster by any chance? No. So John's awesome. I'll send you his work too. You'll recognize it, but he put his like these paintings that he had, his own paintings in Dream, and then they kicked out a bunch of different types, like black and white images, and they kicked out all these different types of treatments, like color treatments and things like that. And then he used that and he spliced everything together in Photoshop and was creating these like incredible paintings that he was gonna, or references that he was gonna then paint on. So I just wanted to point that out. It's just like a way of iterating on even your own work. And I can't wait for that to become more widespread, because I'm always up for stuff like that. It's the way at least I work mentally.
Yeah, I actually texted my coworker because I'm pretty sure at one time at work, when our art director like challenges us to do these film studies in 10 minutes, and then for fun, I'm not sure if he typed in a prompt or uploaded like the film study image. It was from The Revenant, and then he showed what that spit out, and I was like, holy crap, like it was really photorealistic, like really nice lighting, all that stuff. So I'm gonna see what he says, because I can't remember. I'm pretty sure he says he uploads images, so we'll see. But yeah, just because someone was asking that, but I need to confirm.
We do have a couple attendees that have been very patient waiting for questions. If we could hit Lindsay real quick, I know you've been waiting a little while.
Thanks. Hi. I'll try and make this question not long-winded. The way I see AI being implemented kind of is like a fork in the road, like two different ways. So the first way would be machine learning in apps like Blender, Maya, so on and so forth. And with that kind of AI, it makes sense to have tools within these programs, because it makes you more efficient as an artist. And also, not anyone can just buy Blender and make a ball light on fire. You know, you have to invest hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours to even learn the interface and all of that. And you have to be a real artist to use it. But then the other side of AI that we're seeing with like Midjourney and Lensa, with anyone around the world being allowed to pay a few bucks and make a piece of art. The difference I see is like for the group here, we want to use it as like, instead of Pinterest, to research, you know, our next painting and stuff like that, which makes sense as a tool. But the ethics of it, because it skirts the copyright laws, and because people who are not artists can use it using other people's art. I know we've talked about the ethics of, you can use it ethically, you know, it's up to you to be ethical with it, but is participating in it at all with Midjourney and Lensa and those kind of apps, just to do our research even, is that participation even ethical? Because our participation is training it to be better and better. And it is using other people's art without their permission, even as zeros and ones. So even as a Pinterest database or Google or just researching, is that even ethical to begin with.
Lindsay, thanks for that. And you touch a really clear point here is, did we give Google our permission at all to be listening to us and use, like right now, if I say, and try this at home, if you say ice cream maker, you're going to start seeing those pop up on your Instagram. But did they get my permission? I don't think so. So there's a lot of these things like ethics and legal. Yes, it's a big question. And then a lot of it's really just kind of like the law has to start to see what things are heading, and lawmakers need to talk to people to actually understand. Like that is outside of my personal control. And from the participation perspective, for sure, we don't want to promote anything unethical or infringing copyright. But at the same time, what does that really mean? If that means we don't participate at all, please log out right now, because you're actively participating in data collection right now. And please turn off all of your smart devices, because we are all actively participating in data collection to feed AI, knowingly or unknowingly. We are not escaping right now. I'm not saying giving up, but more like let's be more aware of it and really talk to the people who can make a difference. Talk to the software owners, talk to whatever, like these are the people who's making it. Yes, you don't want to use it, don't use it, right? You want to use it, control what you use it for. And a lot of times it's like a double-sided sword. You don't want to train it, sure, take out all of your digital images of the internet, then you don't train it. But at the same time, as a visual artist, would you risk the fact that when you take everything out, you become invisible, you will not have a job? Like technology corner us. And to find that great balance is extremely hard. I don't have an answer, and I'm hoping someone will have the answer. But just from the participation perspective, like I said, do more research and all that. But anyways, thanks for that. And do we have any more other questions? Because we are already kind of like 2 minutes past the time. We'll just have one last thing and we'll wrap it up.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my camera to work, but it's not working. I'm sorry. I'm a digital artist from Brazil. I just wanted to answer a little bit better the question that Alan asked about you being able to input your work and the AI being able to output different versions of it. At the current state, that's not really, not that it's not possible, but that's not really the way that the systems work. They are built on huge volumes of information. So when you have artists input their work to train an AI model, it's they input like dozens of images, and then the AI can start to understand it a little bit better. If you just input one image, it has to tessellate it with what it already knows from its database. So the way that the systems work right now, they are built to create an output and not receive an input. And just to wrap it up, I know we're over time. I would be careful with that last analogy about us providing data, because that puts too much of a burden on the people who have their data used without their consent. Like, two wrongs doesn't make a right. And when all of us started to input our work, our art into Instagram, for instance, we could not conceive that it would be used to profit and make art without our consent. I think one of the key aspects of being an artist is to share our vision with other people. So, you know, we can have that human to human connection, and to have that bias of, if you don't want your work stolen, just don't place it everywhere. It's a bit misguided, because we have to remember that those systems, they don't just operate by themselves. There are people behind them, and there are corporations behind there that are profiting out of our decades of, you know, labor and practice. those AI systems just don't run on their own. There are financial incentives behind them. I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thank you so much, guys, for having this space. And I honestly think that what you're doing here right now, community, connecting with other people, other artists, this is the way forward. Because if we just give in to the despair and the worries, it all gets a bit too much. And art, it's all about connecting human to human, no matter which medium we use. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, everybody. I wish this can keep going, but Kai is not feeling too well, and we all have other things to do. Before we go, would you, for mentors, just kind of like go around and let people know what we designed to have you help students more in the future? Because we have all these new programs rolling out in 2023, actually, just in a week. And more importantly, if you guys here, you are interested in knowing more about becoming a gallery artist, January 4th, Ray Bonilla here, he's gonna host another session focusing on the 3 key stages to become a gallery artist. We talk about this and we're like, oh my gosh, we need to share this with people. So make sure you come back on the 4th and join that discussion. But other than that, we'll have you guys kind of briefly talk about what we have you guys line up for next year to help people to become better artists. And thank you so much, everybody, for participating. Like Gustav said, the community is the key. So continue to support your fellow artists, help them to become stronger, not weaker. That's why we're doing this for. And thank you. We'll see you guys soon. Ray, you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. So on January 24th, I'm launching my online mentorship. Basically, we work on skill building and drawing and painting, and with the hopes of giving you a skill base to then create artwork that captures and develops your own vision, so that you could ultimately submit that work to show in galleries. Super excited. I love the idea of a hands-on format. I'll be drawing and painting and just sharing my love of actually creating art. So yeah, I can't wait.
So for me, on January 4th will be the first day of my mentorship with Sentient. I'm really excited for everyone to, come join me in that every week, because the way that I teach painting is within the realms of getting you to really understand and to be able to kind of paint in a universal language. So you'll be able to kind of paint any subject matter. So we'll be switching a lot of different subject matters every single week, and even exploring some fun subject matters. Like, for instance, I've been doing a lot of pop culture paintings and stuff. So we've been doing some of that. And honestly, it's just to really help everyone just kind of build up, I guess, build up the momentum and just kind of build up the weekly practice. And yeah, I'll be doing a new demonstration every week, and I'm really excited to just kind of share the techniques of Ala Promo with everybody.
I threw your mentorship in the chat, just so people can go take a
great.
look at it. Yeah.
Oh man, thank you.
Hey, Tiffany.
Hey everyone, my name is Tiffany, and I'm really excited. Around March, April, I'm going to be launching my digital mentorship. So in that mentorship, I'm going to be working with students of any level. In the past, I've worked with over 30 students from beginner to advanced who have worked in the industry, really teaching you the fundamental skills in digital painting, but of course, coming also from a perspective of really understanding the why and not just the how or the what in painting. And I'll also be working with students from the fundamental skills all the way up to building your pieces for building your portfolio to apply to the industry, whether you're looking to, be a biz dev artist or a color key artist, like what I'm doing now at Marvel. So, yeah, and even, how to prep for interviews and stuff like that. So if any of you guys are interested in learning all about that, or, wanting to get into digital painting more as a fine artist, or, I'm just love to work with everyone. So yeah, that's going to be coming out soon. I'm really excited.
Great. I'm Brandon, and I think my mentorship will be coming out in February or March, around that time. And my background is visual effects and concept design for the movie industry, and so I kind of have a hybrid of. I also do a lot of fine art as well, so I kind of be having a hybrid between like traditional media and then the digital painting for concept design and matte painting. So with that, I'll just kind of be working on the basics and kind of helping anyone from just starting out and starting to learn digital painting all the way to like wanting to develop a portfolio and kind of moving towards like visual effects and matte painting more specifically. So I'm here to help you guys and answer any questions that I can and help you guys progress as artists. So I'm excited to be with you guys.
So thank you everybody again. Don't forget to reach out to these artists, mentorship or not. I handpicked these people for a reason. They love helping people. So if you need people, like January 4th, the best timing, come with your portfolio. Ray will take a look at your portfolio, give you some honest feedback, or even just, like from now till whenever, reach out to this artist. You can ask them, of course, respect their time. Don't send them 50 images. They are not AI robots. They're people, but get them to help you, to give you some feedback, give you some direction to help you become more successful. That's what Sentient is all about. And thank you so much again for being here and just let people know about what we're doing and let people know what you are doing. And of course, great supporter for Lisa and Deborah Hughes. They have a website on, learning how to paint. Like, I love Deborah and Lisa's style. You want to learn to, paint with them, go over there. La Papa, thanks for showing up. All these human organizations, please go join human organizations and enjoy being a human artist. It's time to celebrate. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.